here in Baltimore, and you can bet the Blue Jays are happy to be a little bit warmer. It's 21 degrees at the start of this game tonight, and a very comfortable day. Blue Jays had a lot of fun during batting practice tonight. It's the first time they've really had a nice evening to hit outside. Let's take a look at the lineup for John Gibbons' Blue Jays. Top of the order is Saunders, Donaldson, and then Jose Bautista. Bautista last year really put a number on the Orioles, 373 for the season, including 6 home runs and 20 RBIs. And right behind him, Edwin Encarnacion has done well away from Rogers Center in the early going. He's 12 for 33 with a pair of home runs and 7 RBIs. Middle of this order starting to heat up a little bit.
And the guys around him, I think, are starting to heat up just a little bit. This is Mike Wright. I'm calling him the Rain Man. He's had 2 starts already rained out this year. This is just his 2nd start of the season. He was selected by the Orioles in the 3rd round of the 2011 draft. He's listed at 6'6". He had a good spring training and won that 5th starter spot for the Orioles. 17 strikeouts in his 6 spring starts this season. He earned a win in that first start of the season. That was at Baltimore, but he threw 96 pitches in 5 innings. His first victory as a starter since May of 2015.
Well, one thing when you play the Orioles, you know they're going to catch the ball. This is one of the better defensive teams in all of baseball. The Rule 5 player from Tampa Bay, Joey Rickard, is in left field. Adam Jones is a 4-time Gold Glover in right field. Mark Trumbo, Manny Machado, J.J. Hardy, Jonathan Scope, and Chris Davis from 3rd to 1st. Matt Wieters back up to speed after getting over the impact of that Tommy John surgery a couple of years ago.
And that's one of the finest shortstops. Not flashy, but he catches everything. Already in his 12th season and 6th with Baltimore. He's a 3-time Gold Glove winner. He led Major League shortstops in fielding percentage last year at .993. He's committed 99 errors in his 11 big league seasons. Pretty impressive at shortstop.
First pitch of the game is in there to Michael Saunders, and we are underway. Saunders 2 for 12 in the 4-game series in Boston. Picked up an RBI on a ground out.
It's really interesting when you watch different teams, how they play different players. Michael Saunders against Boston, they had 3 infielders on the right side. Look at this, straight out and jam up the middle.
We're seeing all sorts of different types of shifts, and they will shift on counts. And now J.J. Hardy sliding a little bit more to the pull side. Manny Machado backed up to the edge of the grass. Buck Showalter constantly moving his defense around. Well, he doesn't miss a trick, does he?
No, he doesn't. He is on top of everything. And Michael Saunders faked like he was going to bunt twice in that series in Boston and drew Manny Machado in at the beginning of this at bat.
And that was the reason for showing those bunts, just to put it in the defense's mind. 1-2. Downstairs, Tom Hallion, the veteran umpire behind the plate. He is also the crew chief of this 4-man crew. Veteran umpire with a very exaggerated strike 3 call. 2-2 pitch. Upstairs, it's a full count.
Told you, he threw 96 pitches, only 61 of them for strikes in 5 innings of work in that first start against the Boston Red Sox. So the Blue Jays might have to wait him out tonight.
Strike 3 call. There's a little breaking ball on a full count, and Saunders looking 1 down.
He was looking for the fastball. Mike Wright changes up on him and throws him a breaking ball. Look at that ball just slide right off of his fingers, and that'll lock up a hitter. Even though it's right down the middle, you say, how can you not swing at that? But you're thinking fastball, and he pulled the string on him.
Josh Donaldson comes right back with that breaking ball to get ahead of the 3rd baseman. Donaldson had a double and a triple, 4 hits in the Boston series. Blue Jays don't have many at bats against Mike Wright. It's 0-2.
And not a bad idea just to see what he has first time through the lineup here. Let's see what he will feature. What's the breaking ball doing? Looks like he's got a good feel for that breaking ball already.
Coming right back with it off the plate. Donaldson for the season batting .309. That goes all the way back into the upper deck. Donaldson has 4 doubles, a triple, and 5 home runs. He leads the Blue Jays with 13 RBIs.
He got to show us his bat today around the batting cage. What did he call that? The golden something? It was all gold.
It's got bringer of rain written on it. This is popped up. Shallow right field. Jonathan Scope going out, calls for it, and makes the catch near the right field foul line. 2 up, 2 down. Crowd here at Oriole Park in Camden Yards reacting to Jose Bautista's introduction. Of course, they all are aware of the history between Bautista and the Orioles. The Blue Jays and the Orioles are developing quite a rivalry.
Neither one of them wanting to give an inch, right? Some of the best games last year were between these two.
First time Bautista faced Mike Wright last June. Wright hit him in the first inning. Second time he faced him the next start, Bautista hit a home run in the first inning.
He has a flair or a way, doesn't he, Jose Bautista, for the dramatics? If he senses someone's throwing at him, he has a way of staying in there and doing some damage.
Well, we used to have the old saying, you know, don't wake a sleeping dog, and just don't get his dander up. And boy, Bautista responds very favorably. 2-2 pitch. Little check swing. One hopper to the second baseman. Easy inning for Mike Wright. 3 up, 3 down, top of the order. Marcus Stroman will take them out when we come back to Baltimore. Dickerson. Let's take a look at the Orioles lineup. 8-3 so far this season. Joey Rickard, top of the order, then Manny Machado. He's got an 11-game hit streak. He extended that streak last Saturday with a first-inning home run against Texas, and in the cleanup spot, Chris Davis. He lights up when he sees the Blue Jays. Last year, he had 7 home runs against the Jays, 11 RBIs, and an OPS up over 1. Chris Davis has a .300 career batting average against the Blue Jays.
And the guy responsible in shutting down that good offense, the O's are averaging 5.5 runs a game. That's 5th best in the major leagues. Is Marcus Stroman, his 4th start of the season. 2 runs in 8 innings in that win versus the Yankees his last time out. He used his sinker very effectively. 17 ground ball outs in that game. He said, I was locating my sinker. I felt like I was down more than in my last start, and the results showed. He is undefeated in his last 8 starts dating back to September of 2014, and there's some significance there, and we'll talk about that as this game goes along.
That was the last time he lost, September 2014, right here in this ballpark. And there were a lot of fireworks in that game. This is Joey Rickard. He is a Rule 5 player acquired from Tampa Bay, and he made the team out of spring training. Takes one down and in.
I remember watching a game in spring training when he was playing, and Buck Showalter was talking about him, said he brings a lot of fire to their team. A lot of intensity. He can run a little bit. Had a great spring, and he's off to a great start this year.
Ball and a strike to Rickard. Flare down the right side and foul. Rickard played 50 games of winter ball in the Dominican Republic. He played 29 games in AAA at the end of the season, then went down to the Dominican Republic and got 191 at bats in winter ball. Breaking ball hit into right field. Leadoff single for Joey Rickard. Marcus Stroman has a good defense behind him, and he took advantage of it last time. Out in the outfield, it's Michael Saunders, Kevin Pillar, and Jose Bautista. Left side of the infield features Josh Donaldson and Troy Tulowitzki. Goins and Smoke on the right side, and behind the plate, Russell Martin for Marcus Stroman.
And over at first base, that is Justin Smoke getting the start. John Gibbons was talking before the game that with a ground ball pitcher, I'd like to put my best defense in there, not taking anything away from Chris Colabello, but with a right-hander on the mound, I got to start finding some at-bats for Justin Smoke.
Manny Machado takes a first pitch strike. We mentioned Machado has an 11-game hit streak. He's hit in all 11 games so far this season. Downstairs, a ball and a strike. Machado came up 2012. Moved to third base. He was playing shortstop in the minor leagues and took over every day at third base.
And he might end up back at shortstop, I think, before it's all said and done. J.J. Hardy mentioned this is his 12th year in the big leagues. Manny Machado might be the heir apparent there.
He can really play defense. He's a terrific third baseman. Won a Gold Glove in 2013 and 2015. 1-2. Another base hit. No, Bautista got a good read. They got a shot at a double play. That ball hung up. Looked like it was going to get down, but he hit it right on the nose. Bautista made a fine running catch.
You know, everybody is talking about the Orioles and all the home runs they're hitting, but their at-bats have been very good. That at-bat by Manny Machado trying to go the other way. It looked like a breaking ball. He stayed on it, and you're right, that ball stayed up, and Rickard at the last second recognizes Bautista is going to make that catch and then hustles back to first base.
The Orioles as a team batting .291 at the start of play tonight. Adam Jones will step in. First pitch strike from Stroman. Jones injured himself in the second game of the season on a swing against the Minnesota Twins. Hurt a rib cage and missed about a week. Just got back into action over the weekend in Texas. He gets jammed on this one. Stroman will go to second for one. Return throw. What a double play. Marcus Stroman, a terrific fielding play as he got off the mound, fired a strike to second. And once you put it in the hands of Ryan Goins, it's a pretty good chance you're going to get a double play. So Stroman gets another good effort from the defense. He starts it. Look at the throw to Goins, who hangs in there to complete the double play. this series, and there are two of them on your screen. On the left, Chris Davis, the first baseman, Edwin Encarnacion. When you look at their head-to-head numbers, it's pretty impressive. Since 2012, very similar numbers, Pat, in the power department. These two guys can hit.
Yeah, when you talk about first baseman / DH, you want home runs, RBIs. You want that type of production. The OPS, everything is very similar. Davis is a very good fielder, and Edwin has turned into a pretty good fielder. But if you dig really deep inside the numbers over the last 2 seasons, Edwin and Chris Davis have each hit 73 home runs. The big difference, Edwin has struck out coming into this season just 180 times. Chris Davis 381.
There's a line drive to left field. Rickard over to cut it off. Encarnacion makes a big turn. He'll throw on the brakes. Rickard did a good job to cut that ball off and keep it from going to the wall.
That looked like it had double written all over it as soon as it left the bat of Edwin Encarnacion. And right now, Mike Wright is lucky that this ball doesn't get airborne because he squares it up and hits it hard. But Rickard with some good speed. He throws left-handed, so that glove is on the right side, so he can just reach out and stop it before it gets to the wall.
That's the 8th hit on the road trip for Encarnacion. He was 7 for 17 in Baltimore. Troy Tulowitzki, anxious to get things going at the plate. Had a big bases loaded walk in that win yesterday.
And something as simple as a bases loaded walk against a very tough pitcher like Craig Kimbrell, those kind of reinforce that you're starting to see the ball.
Tulowitzki batting 140 for the season. A fly ball into shallow center. Adam Jones moves in, makes the catch. Tulowitzki's retired. So Justin Smoak will come to the plate. Smoak's got just 4 at-bats against the starter Mike Wright, but he's got a couple of hits.
And Gibby was talking again before the game. He's got to start trying to find some at-bats for all of his guys. We have mentioned it. Justin Smoak had the highest batting average of the Blue Jays in spring training at 341. But then when the season started, Chris Colabello was getting some at-bats. Josh Donaldson took some of the at-bats away from him. So I asked him, I said, is he playing for his defense or is he playing for his offense? He said, we got to get his bat going. We got to start getting him to start swinging the bat like he did last year when he hit a lot of home runs, 18 home runs in less than 300 at bats.
Smoak is 1 for 12 so far this season, but he's drawn 5 walks. Takes a close pitch outside. It's 2 balls and no strikes, and there goes the shift. They slide over when that count gets into the hitter's favor.
They are playing the batter. They're playing the pitcher. They're playing what inning it is, the score, the count, the type of pitch they might see. They're playing everything is going into every at bat when it comes to how they're playing defense.
When you go into clubhouses in the first game of a series, it's like college with midsummer tests coming. Everybody's cramming in corners. They all got their books out. They're looking at scouting reports. Pitchers are over here, hitters are over there, coaches are over here.
That's if you see them. Sometimes you don't even see them because they're off somewhere else in the clubhouse. And I've never seen so many TV monitors in a major league clubhouse like I see now. Everybody's looking at film. Everybody's taking a look at the pitcher, and they're looking at the batter. There's so much information out there now.
3-1 pitch to Smoak. Inside, another walk. That's 6 walks now for Justin Smoak. That's the first walk issued by Mike Wright. So Russell Martin, he got the big hit in the 8th inning yesterday. A 2-run single off Craig Kimbrell. And what an at bat he put on Kimbrell. 98-mile-an-hour fastball after 98-mile-an-hour fastball. He fouled off some tough pitches.
Kept fouling him off, kept that bat alive until he finally got something to hit, and it ended up being the game winner. And where was it? To right field.
Russ was talking about that at bat this afternoon, saying, you know, I think of myself as a pretty good fastball hitter, but I just couldn't get around. He said, finally, I just made up my mind. I got to get the barrel to the ball somehow.
Not a bad plan. Not a bad plan at all.
Ball on his strike. Here, Russell Martin. Two and one now. Both of these lineups are very patient hitters, and they're tough to work to. They're powerful. They're good hitters. And you're always thinking about big explosive innings.
You make them tougher the more pitches you have to throw. And Mike Wright's already thrown 31 pitches with just one out here in the second inning. So that's a lot of information for the Blue Jays.
It's been a real problem for Buck Showalter's starting rotation. They've only had 3 outings where the starter has given him 6 or more innings. 3 out of 11.
That'll tax your bullpen, won't it?
Martin pulls it foul on the 3-1 pitch. Well, the Orioles have a good bullpen, but if they have to pitch 4 innings every night, they're going to wear down. Brian Goins is on deck. Breaking ball, he walked him.
That's interesting.
These are intimidating lineups, and pitchers are reluctant to give in. But now he has back-to-back walks to load the bases. Ryan Goins will bat. And Goins had quite a run against the Orioles last year. He had 383 against Baltimore.
Maybe getting down to the bottom part of the lineup, you try to take a big deep breath and you say, okay, I got Ryan Goins, and he throws it right in there and he smacks it. Mike Wright threw a 3-2 breaking ball to Michael Saunders to strike him out, the first batter of the game. He hasn't been able to control that breaking ball since.
Bases loaded, 1 out. Pulled on the ground. Davis knocks it down. He'll go to the bag. That's all they're going to get. But Goins drives home the first run of the game as Encarnacion comes across to score. For Goins, that's RBI number 3 on the season. And the Blue Jays have taken the lead.
Chris Davis, everybody knows about the home runs, but he's a good athlete. He can play third, he can play the outfield, he can play some first base. Very nimble on his feet on this one to take away extra bases in a really big inning for the Blue Jays. Smothers it, and then he's right there to tag the bag.
Kevin Pillar, back-to-back 3-hit games. Goins with the RBI. Encarnacion comes in to score. He started it off with a single to left. Oh, and 2. Straight back.
Pilar hitting number 9 tonight because John Gibbons said he wanted to split up the 2 left-handers. We got Goings and Saunders back to back. He wanted to split them up because the closer for the Orioles is left-handed. That's Zach Britton if he got down there.
Ball in the dirt. It's 2-2. So Pilar drops down into that 9th spot, and then Saunders is on deck. Blue Jays have scored a run here in the 2nd on just 1 hit, couple of walks and a ground out by Goins.
Kevin's had a couple of very good games, and you slide him down to number 9. If he can keep it going, that's more RBIs, more opportunities for those guys.
Strike 3 call. That breaking ball on the inside corner, front door breaking ball, but the Blue Jays jump out on top. RBI for Ryan Goins.
Blue Jays on Sportsnet. Presented by the all-new Honda Civic, now available with Turbo, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
Here at Oriole Park at Camden Yards, and the hot dogs are being served up, and the home runs have been served up by these 3 hitters. Josh Donaldson, Chris Davis, and Mark Trumbo, all with 5 home runs. Only Robinson Cano missing from this game tonight. Lots of power.
Strap it on when these 2 teams get together. We're not even showing you right now Manny Machado, Adam Jones, Edwin Encarnacion, Jose Bautista. I mean, there is power plus in this series.
Davis, Trumbo, and then Matt Wieters, middle of the order against Stroman. Marcus Stroman finished up strong against the Yankees the last time out. He had 17 ground ball outs, and he retired the final 11 Yankees he faced. He walked Ellsbury in the 5th and then just mowed him down. Walked off the mound in the 8th, and you could see he was saying, I want to stay out there.
You know the beauty of those stats that we just showed you right there? He pitched into the 8th inning. I don't think Marcus Stroman's going to be a high strikeout kind of guy, and I don't want him to be. I want him around pitching innings instead of running that pitch count up with a ton of strikeouts. Quick innings, quick at-bats, sinker, slider, that kind of thing. Forget about the strikeouts.
Bouncing ball. Goins from the outfield grass. Throws to Smoke, 1 down. We mentioned Marcus Stroman. He has not lost a game since September 20th, 2014. And that was right here. 2015, September 15, 2014. He lost to the Orioles, and that was his last loss. And that was an eventful night. There were some hit batters. He threw a ball over Caleb Joseph's head. There was word exchange. Buck Showalter was very upset, and rightly so, because of the location of the pitch that went over Joseph's head. Stroman was suspended for 6 games as a result of that. But he has definitely put it behind him. Hasn't lost a game since.
Maybe there was a little miscommunication, I guess, when he left the dugout for that inning. There was some shenanigans going on between the two teams, and he was sitting next to his buddy Mark Burley, and he's like, you know, what should I do? And he says, go get him. Just like Mark Burley says, right? Hey, go get him, meaning, you know, go get him, just go get him out. And he thought he was saying, go get him. Try and intimidate him, try and throw one behind their back.
Breaking ball, strike 3. Trumbo down on strikes. Let's go back and take a look at all the activities in that game. This is September 15th, 2014. There's the pitch over Caleb Joseph's head. And then after the inning, benches are hollering at each other. The Orioles very upset. Buck Showalter says, take it on to the house, young man. And it was a very heated affair, to be sure. It started in that game when Jose Reyes slid in at home, and Caleb Joseph stumbled and stepped on his hand. So that started it, and then it went on.
And Jose was hot too. Felt like Caleb Joseph stepped on his hand on purpose, and that got everybody fired up. And like I said, there were a lot of shenanigans going on that night.
Says Matt Wieters, the Gold Glove catcher. Wieters finally starting to come around after the effects of that Tommy John surgery. See, he wears that protective brace on his right elbow, which is throwing arm, of course. He made one of the best throws they've seen him make in years on Saturday night in Texas when he gunned down Delino DeShields. Threw him out at second base, had a quick release, and threw a strike to second.
He had that last year, right? He started the season 2015, then injured himself. So has it been a year?
No, he's a year before that.
That was 14 that he missed it. Okay, so all of last season.
He's had a long comeback, and it's taken him a long time to get back. This is going to reach the seats out of play.
Well, he's such a big guy, and he can just create so much power with that size. On top of that, being as big as he is, I think he's 6'5". He's a great catcher.
And generally, you don't see those guys that big that can really move around behind the plate, but he's a 2-time Gold Glove catcher. Breaking ball. There's the strikeout. Russell Martin will throw to first to complete the strikeout. Couple of strikeouts, no problem. Middle of the order. Davis, Trumbo, Wieters retired in order. Stroman strikes out Trumbo and Wieters to end the inning. Campbell. Yeah, but they're all about baseball here. The Orioles off to a good start. 8-3 in the early going. They've not lost a game here at home. They went 5-0 to open up the season. Michael Saunders bats for a second time, picks a breaking ball on the corner for his strength.
That's 2 off of their team record for most consecutive home wins to start a season. Blue Jays would love to be able to stop that.
They won 7 games in a row in back-to-back seasons to start the season, 96 and 97. The organization started here in Baltimore in 1954. Saunders shoots it into right field. He's hustling around the bag. Trumbo over to dig it out, and Saunders will slide in safely at second with a leadoff double.
Pitchers think they can get in on Michael Saunders the way he holds the bat and how the barrel of the bat points down towards the ground, but he's very quick in there. You can see how he pulls his hands and he gets the bat in a good position, hits it over Davis's head, and then hustles. Got plenty of speed to beat that throw.
5th double of the season already for Michael Saunders. Josh Donaldson takes the first pitch strike. Josh popped out to the second baseman. His only time up. There's a pop-up almost in the same area. Trumbo has a long run. He will get there and make the catch. Donaldson pops out this time to the right fielder.
I think he was surprised that Mike Wright came right after him. He threw him 3 straight fastballs. One right down the middle, one off the plate, and then one inside. He's going to make a mental note of that. And then the next time, he might jump all over that fastball. I was somewhat surprised also.
Well, that's Matt Wieters. That is all Matt Wieters. He used breaking balls in the first time up, and this time he ambushed him with 3 fastballs. Jose Bautista. Bautista grounded out. Soft grounder to second base his first time up.
20 RBIs last year versus the Orioles.
They bring out the best in him.
Yeah.
Side. Jose has hit in 7 straight games against the Orioles.
Look at those numbers right there for the Orioles in 121 games. And then you look at his average in this ballpark, and it's not very good. Surprising, just barely over 200.
There's a base hit to right. Saunders had to hold up. Trumbo's going to be quicking it back in quickly as Luis Rivera stopped Michael Saunders. Bautista with a ringing single into right.
Luis Rivera did a great job of getting down that line, and he kept his eye on Mark Trumbo and the other one on Michael Saunders. A line drive. Watch Saunders. He's got to freeze. He's got to make sure that that ball doesn't carry into the outfield. And there's Luis Rivera all the way down the line, getting a good idea and a good read from Trumbo. Once he hesitated, that was a tell for him to say, you know what, there's no way I'm going to have him run into an out.
So Bautista now has hit in 8 straight against the Orioles. First and third for Edwin Encarnacion. Had a single his first time up. This is another reason why Luis Rivera was very conservative on that base hit to right. Unless you're 100% sure you can score the runner from second, you don't want to take away a run scoring opportunity for Encarnacion.
No way do you want him running into an out with Encarnacion coming up.
Ball and a strike. Blue Jays lead it 1-0. Ryan Goins with the RBI ground out. Mike Wright would love it if Bautista would try to run.
He's about a foot off of the base.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere. You got to pitch to Edwin. Off-speed pitch in the dirt. The Blue Jays have really started to show signs of breaking out with the bats. They're having some good at-bats. Foul back to the screen.
The at-bats yesterday by Tulowitzki and Russell Martin, I think, were evidence that they're having good at-bats. Those are two of the best that we have seen this year, and it helped the Blue Jays win a game.
One was a bases-loaded walk. The other was a two-run single. Tulowitzki had the walk.
Well, you get those two guys starting to swing the bat, and all of a sudden this lineup looks a little bit more dangerous.
Popped up behind home. Leaders on the warning track as got room and makes the catch. Tough time of the night to see these pop-ups. It looked like he had a little trouble locating it and actually had to make a basket catch.
Well, he got some help from his manager, Buck Showalter, who's always into the game. Look at him. He comes out of the dugout to give a little help to his catcher, tell him where that screen is, where that warning track is. And he helped out Wieters to retire a tough hitter.
Mike Wright's not out of the woods yet. Troy Tulowitzki at the plate with 2 outs.
I would take one shot if I'm Troy Tulowitzki. One shot to right field. They're holding the runner on base. Jonathan Scope, the second baseman, is shaded up the middle. You got some room over there. He hasn't had a hit to right field yet this year. Not one. This would be a perfect time for it. You got that breaking ball going away from you. Just poke one to the right side for an RBI hit.
Bautista safely back in. 1-1 on Tulowitzki. Tulowitzki just 7 hits in 51 at bats. Close but low. Just another typical Blue Jays Orioles game.
Back and forth, work the count too. I like seeing all these pitches.
There's a line drive to left field, and that's going to go past Rickard all the way to the wall. Saunders is in to score. Here comes Bautista in to score, and Troy Tulowitzki delivers with 2 outs. A 2-run double down the left field line. Joey Rickard left his feet and couldn't make the catch. Ball went all the way to the wall, and the Blue Jays have a 3-0 lead.
He was playing very deep against Tulowitzki. Very deep. Ball in on his hands, and it's not hit that hard by Troy, but look how deep Rickard is and how they're taking away the gaps. Tulowitzki crosses him up with the ball down the line. He might have been better off just trying to play that ball on a hop. It would have saved him a run. But he goes for the all-out dive, and Blue Jays can score Bautista from first base.
Now, Tulowitzki, with his first double of the season, picks up a pair of RBIs. He now has 8. 3-0 Blue Jays. Justin Smoke walked his first time up, back in the second. Downstairs, Mike Wright has now thrown 61 pitches. 2 outs here in the third. And this has been a familiar scene for Buck Showalter.
They don't get very deep. And you said it at the top of the broadcast that that bullpen is going to have a lot of innings to cover. And there's nothing like getting into the bullpen the first game of a big series.
Yeah, it really disrupts the entire pattern for the manager. You start to figure out how you're going to get through the series when your opening starter of the series gets knocked out early. There's a line drive, base hit into right. Trumbo's coming up throwing. Here comes the throw to the plate, and Tulowitzki is out. So Smoke hits one right to Trumbo. Trumbo's always had a very strong arm. And he cuts down Tulowitzki trying to score with 2 outs. Justin Smoke hammers it to right to the right fielder on one hop. Trumbo makes a strong throw to Matt Wieters.
Camp at the beginning of the season, Devin Travis was left back in Florida to continue his rehab, and Ryan Goins was given the everyday job at second base. Well, I had a chance to speak with Devin yesterday, and I'm very happy to report he has now graduated up to the next level, which is taking batting practice. He did it for the first time yesterday, 4 to 5 rounds. He's going to continue doing that. He tells me the next step for him will be to hopefully soon play in some minor league games. When I asked him how excited he is to eventually get back, guys, he used the word stoked a couple of times. Guys, this is a young man who was chomping at the bit. He was off to such a great rookie year. He cannot wait to get back into this Blue Jays lineup. And the good news is he is finally starting to show some signs that that is coming quite soon.
That's great, Barry, and it's been a long and very tough path for Devin Travis after that surgery in November, but it's good to hear that now he can actually work on his baseball skills once again.
Swing a bat and be pain-free. Still a long road to go, but I guess that's a good thing, a good problem to have. You can never have too many good players.
J.J. Hardy, he's behind Marcus Stroman, 0-2. J.J. Hardy's now 33 years old. He was originally drafted by Milwaukee in 2001. He was a second-round pick. He's had an interesting career in Milwaukee. He played 5 years for the Brewers and hit 75 home runs. Then he went to Minnesota, and they wanted him to change, become an average hitter. That's not his game. Tulowitzki throws out his shortstop counterpart, 1 down here in the third.
Yeah, a high batting average, and they took away some of his power. But when he came back over here to Baltimore, they said, let it go. Be that player that they saw in Milwaukee.
This is his 6th year in Baltimore, and he's hit 96 home runs. And he's got 3 Gold Gloves to go with it. 1 out. Pedro Alvarez. He is the DH. Alvarez signed in March as a free agent. The Orioles might be the masters of late offseason signings. A couple of years ago, they signed Nelson Cruz and Ubaldo Jimenez in February.
Late bargain shopping in the month of February and March. And they always seem to come up with the best player that fits their type of organization.
Dan Duquette, the Vice President of Baseball Operations and General Manager here with the Orioles, engineering those deals and bringing the talent in here.
This year it was Pedro Alvarez. They needed some more power. They just waited and waited and waited, and there was Alvarez for them.
2 ground ball outs for Stroman.
Home Hardware and Building Center locations. Proud partners of the Toronto Blue Jays. Homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice.
One of the best ballparks in all of baseball, Oriole Park in Camden Yards. It is perfect for everybody involved. Players, coaches, broadcast people, and the fans especially. It is a beautiful ballpark. This is Jonathan Scope batting in the 9th spot. Scope is from Willemstad, Curaçao. He's just now 24 years old. He had a tough season a year ago. Had a knee injury early in the season. Played his last game on the 17th of April. Didn't come back till July.
Injuries have hampered his development the last couple of years, and everybody around baseball says, okay, one of these years Jonathan Scope's going to put it all together, and he's going to be a 25 home run type of second baseman. The shot right there might not show you how big he is, but he's a big guy. And already this year he's got 3 home runs.
Scope is listed at 6'1", 195, and he has got the stature to hit home runs. He had 3 home runs at the time he was injured last year. 3 home runs and 7 RBIs in just 9 games. In fact, he had back-to-back home run games against the Blue Jays in April. April 10th, he had a solo home run of Marco Estrada, and then the next game on the 11th, he had a grand slam off Todd Redmond.
He's got power to all field. I like his stroke to right field.
Marcus Stroman breezes through the Orioles in the 3rd. Stroman has faced the minimum 3 strikeouts in 3 innings. This time against Jonathan Scope.
Remember, listen up. It is time to log on to mybluejays.com and enter the code MBJ1688 to earn My Blue Jays points just for watching the broadcast. The entry box can be found on your My Blue Jays homepage. Code must be entered by 11:59 tonight, and look for a new code tomorrow. Buck?
Thank you very much, Barry Davis. And there are Blue Jay fans here in Baltimore. Seen a lot of Blue Jay fans on this trip, of course. 4 games in Boston over the weekend. Mike Wright begins the 4th, bottom 3rd of the Blue Jays lineup. So Martin goes after the first pitch. Martin walked in the 2nd, was stranded.
Pretty good combination. Fastball changeup from Mike Wright. He's got one of the highest differences between the fastball and the changeup, his velocity in baseball.
Also stays alive. Josh Donaldson getting set for his next at bat.
Hope they don't run out of tape. That's a lot of tape for his arms.
I don't think they'll run out of Josh Donaldson tape. That'd be one thing. If he needs tape, he's getting tape. One cheer to Mark. That pitch tied him up and in, and it's another strikeout for Wright, his 3rd of the evening.
His difference in velocity is almost 14 miles per hour. He let him off with a changeup, and then he goes up and in with about a 93-mile-an-hour fastball. There's the difference right there. You might be looking for something off speed, and when he changes up on you and throws a high fastball, you can see how tardy Russell is.
Ryan Goins knocked in the first run of the game with a ground out. He was robbed of extra bases on a nice play by Chris Davis, the first baseman. Goins hit it sharply inside the bag at first, but Davis gloved it and got to his feet and stepped on the bag to retire Goins. There's that changeup.
2 of them back to back.
Goins hits it past J.J. Hardy. Hardy was getting in position to play it off to the side, and it skipped right past his glove into center. Goins has hit the ball sharply both times tonight.
You don't see that very often from J.J. Hardy, a ball right at him, and right away look down at the dirt like it took a bad hop. There's a lot of English on this ball. First of all, watch this ball slicing right to him, and it fools him. I mean, he doesn't even get his glove on that ball.
Well, had a lot of topspin on it. When it hit that dirt, it kicked up right over the glove of J.J. Hardy. So Goins aboard. 1 for 2 so far. Kevin Pillar caught looking at strike 3 to end the 2nd.
You know, I think J.J.'s reputation precedes him, because I think they gave Ryan a hit on that.
Yeah.
Nice.
That skipped right over his glove, and I guess you could say that's the old bad hop single.
Bad hop single. I mean, if that guy's going to whiff on it, it has to be a base hit, doesn't it?
He had pretty good position on it and had a little body angle on the ball and had played it off to the side, but it hit that dirt and kicked right over his glove.
I know if I'm playing shortstop, that's E6 for sure.
1-1 to Pillar. On the ground. Hardy gets another chance. There's the one at second. Back to first. Double play. The Blue Jays ground into a double play to end the 4th. Mike Wright's out of it. J.J. Hardy gets it started.
by BioSteel Sports Nutrition, the natural choice for everyday performance. Drink the pink.
That is the Inner Harbor here in Baltimore, just a couple of blocks away from Oriole Park in Camden Yards. Beautiful. Early spring evening here in Baltimore. It's up to 82 degrees this afternoon.
Where we came from, this feels like summer, right? That's chilly in Boston. It feels great here.
Marcus Stroman has allowed one hit to the last 20 batters he's faced. And that was the leadoff single to Joey Rickard to start this ball game.
Well, he took care of that by starting a double play. And that's why there's been 9 batters only through the first 3 innings.
In his start against the Yankees, he retired the final 11 batters he faced in that game. No one had reached base after a 5th inning walk to Jacoby Ellsbury.
You see him tapping his stomach again. That helps him to breathe and relax just a little bit. He can get really excited and very emotional out on that mound. But he's got a lot of movement, and all it's about is just to help him to breathe and just relax.
He has many different checkpoints to get his body back balanced and focused, and just to try to get him into a spot where he can perform. He delivers a strike.
You'll see him every now and then take the glove and turn the opposite way. You see him tap his stomach one more time. Turn, and I asked him what that was all about. It's right there. He said, I'm doing the opposite movement, the opposite turn that I have when I normally pitch, because you can get overloaded on one side. If you're going left to right all the time while you're delivering a pitch.
Ryan Goins near the bag at second, throws to first. Joey Rickard retired.
You'll see me start to go right to left and turn my body, and that's just to like keep myself in balance. We'll see Jose Bautista do that a lot.
It's really interesting how science has come into the game, and the Blue Jays have really stepped up their training. Jose Bautista is a real proponent of yoga and stretching, and we've seen him hit left-handed a lot all throughout spring training, right into the regular season. It's basically kind of unwinding your body, if you will.
Everything, you know, for a pitcher like Marcus Stroman, everything is twisting to his right, turning everything to his right. When Jose Bautista swings a baseball bat, his hips move left to right. So when he hits and hits left-handed, he's just unwinding. He's making everything go the opposite way that he's normally accustomed to.
Third baseman Manny Machado. It's one high and deep to center. Pilar's going to watch this one into the bullpen. Manny Machado puts the Orioles on the board. That extends his hit streak to 12 straight.
Came into this ball game with a hit in all 11 games at .383. He's going to join the 5 home run club that we showed earlier. Donaldson and Trumbo and Chris Davis. Now Manny Machado, 4 hitters in this game with at least 5 home runs this season. You know, you don't have to hang a ball to Manny Machado. He can go down and get that low pitch like he did right there and hit it a long way.
That's the 24th home run the Orioles have hit this season. This is their 12th game.
Sinker down, and watch him go down and get it. That's how you hit a low pitch.
That's a great illustration of the fact that not all home runs are mistakes.
Don't have to hang it to this guy for him to knock it out of the ballpark.
Base hit for Adam Jones. It's hit past Goins into center. Well, we mentioned that the Orioles have gotten off to a great start hitting the home runs, and there are the teams in the AL East. The Orioles are 10 out in front.
Nolan Reinhold was talking about this the other day about this team. He said, because we hit so many home runs, we are never out of any game. I don't care where you are in the game, they can knock it out. And just like that, you've got a home run hitter at the plate representing the tying run.
Chris Davis, he hits one to right. Bautista is right there, and Davis is retired. 2 down. It's a very small ballpark, and these are some big hitters. And it doesn't take much for them to hit it out. So Mark Trumbo will step in with a man on and 2 outs. Trumbo with 5 home runs. Trumbo is also leading the American League in hitting coming into this game at a .386 clip.
There's a couple of ways that Marcus Stroman can diffuse those big bats. You can go soft on him. Use your changeup. We'll watch and see if he uses that changeup a little bit more to his right-handed batters. I think he also has to spin the ball. He used a curveball to the righties. He had a good one last game against the Yankees.
Little dribbler up the third base line. That's going to be a foul ball. Marcus Stroman gave up a 1-out home run to Manny Machado. It's now a 3-1 Blue Jays lead. Mark Trumbo, now 30 years old, began his career with the Angels. Spent a couple of years in Arizona. Half of last season, 96 games with the Seattle Mariners. Trumbo with 136 career home runs. He's got some power.
He's swinging like he did when he first came up with Anaheim. He could hit it out to right field, left field, hits and bombs. In Baltimore, it was in Texas. There's another changeup over the weekend. I mean, some absolute lasers.
Matt Waiters, the catcher, is on deck. That's fouled out of play. Jones on the full count was moving on the pitch. Orioles have always been able to hit, but they've taken it to a new level this season, hitting for an average, scoring almost 5.5 runs a game. Look at the extra base hits. It's not just home runs. They're getting their share of extra base hits. 24 home runs now, and a great average with runners on.
That's the one I like, that runners in scoring position. 321, which is #1, averaging 5.5 runs a game. That's still just 5th best in the American League, or in the major leagues. 5.5 runs a game. It's a lot like the Blue Jays offense. Sluggers, but good hitters. Understands hitting, and you start putting all these kind of hitters together, just like the Blue Jays, you got a deep lineup.
Chris Davis re-signed as a free agent with the Orioles. Another 3-2 pitch. There goes Jones at first, and it's ball 4. Let's see, first walk issued by Marcus Stroman. That's going to get a visit from the pitching coach, Pete Walker. Been a long inning for Stroman. He got the first man, Joey Rickard, on a ground out. And a home run single, fly ball out, and a walk.
The all-new Honda Civic, now available with Turbo, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
So runners at first and second, 2 outs for the catcher, Matt Wieters. He struck out against Stroman to end the second. First pitch struck in a good spot. Stroman got some help.
Little sinker that looked like it was off the plate. He will induce a lot of weak contact because he's around the plate. He has that ability to hit the corners.
He's ahead of Wieters 0-2. He, like Aaron Sanchez, really has a feel for what a hitter's trying to do. They can see the hitter's approach, whether he's covering the outside pitch or opening up inside. It's a knack that you don't see too many young pitchers pick up.
And more importantly, they have the idea of how to get him out, and they can execute it. If they see a guy who's tardy on his fastball, they'll keep throwing it in there, or they'll use their breaking ball if they need it.
Took a shot at that inside corner. A ball and 2 strikes to Matt Wieters. Jones at second. Trumbo at first. Foul back.
Might have got away with one right there, and I think now Wieters is thinking the same thing. They wanted to backdoor that breaking ball, and it was out over the plate.
Everything has been down to Wieters, and he's on it pretty good downstairs. Might be time to show him something up. Pulls that pitch, and the pitch down at the bottom of the zone.
Yeah, look at pitch tracker. Pitch tracker has all those pitches down right at the bottom of the strike zone, which isn't a bad thing. But you got to use the whole strike zone. Even if you throw one up there for a ball, no problem.
Two balls and 2 strikes. In an at-bat like this, everything is down. The hitter's just really zeroed in, and you have to be really fine down the stairs. J.J. Hardy waits on deck. Ground ball to the right side. Goins is going to knock it down. Goes to first, not in time. That was a difficult play because it looked like Smoke might have had a chance to go after it. John Gibbons out on the warning track. I'm going to check on the video room.
Marcus Stroman, excuse me, Buck, seems pretty confident that that runner was out at first base. It wasn't hit that hard, and that allowed Goins to get over there and make the play. Get to it, and they make a play over at first base, and it looks like they're going to take a look at this one.
Stroman, of course, had a good vantage point. He was over toward the bag. Should he had to cover. Goins made a throw from the outfield, and the umpires are going to go under the headset. This replay review is powered by Samsung. So the ruling on the field is safe at first. It's an infield hit for Matt Wieters. Goins ranging out into the outfield grouse.
You can see his foot looks like it's still up in the air when that ball settled in the glove of Justin Smoke. And now it just determines when does that ball get into the glove. There. And you can see the foot looks like it's still up in the air right there. This is going to be really interesting. I didn't think he had a shot at all at first base. I was just hoping that Ryan could knock the ball down, keep it in the infield. But he comes up firing. He's got that great arm.
Boy, that is not quite as definitive there.
Yeah.
The ball's not yet in the glove. The foot on the bag. You could see some white before it disappeared into that glove as his foot hit the bag. And that's why it's taken the umpire so long to get an answer from New York.
Well, if he was on, it might have been his cleat that got on there first, because depending on when the ball is determined in his glove and they stop the camera, there's Smoke. He can't really stretch for the ball. Is it in there now? That's close.
Remember, there has to be clear evidence to overturn the call on the field. The Orioles have the bases loaded with 2 outs, and they're waiting now on this decision. Manny Machado homered with 1 out here in the 4th. Jones singled, and then 1 out later Trumbo walked, and Matt Wieters hit the ball that is being reviewed.
You know, this is tough for the pitcher and the hitter, if he is called safe, to ramp it back up again. The stoppage in play. A.J. Hardy's just sitting over on the on-deck circle trying to stay loose. Now you see Marcus Stroman starting to throw it. This is tough to ramp it back up. Here's the great play by Goins, and that strong arm. You can see Smoke just can't stretch for that ball like he would like to.
Umpires appear to have the decision. Call on the field is upheld. So the Blue Jays will lose their challenge. And it was very difficult to overturn the call on the field. There wasn't really clear and definitive evidence to overturn the call. So it's an infield hit for Wieters. That loads the bases. 2 outs for J.J. Hardy. Blue Jays have a 3-1 lead. Hardy grounded out to shortstop. His only time up.
Well, it looked like he wanted to call it. J.J. lights the ball up. There are his numbers in his career with the bases loaded, but he lights the ball up. He had one of the lowest batting average on pitches down in the strike zone last year. So Marcus got to know that.
One ball, 1 strike. Outside. Popped him up. Goins out into the outfield. He calls for it. Makes the catch, and Stroman gets out of it. The Orioles leave the bases loaded. The Blue Jays have a 3-1 lead as we head to the top of the 5th. Now time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn in the Samsung broadcast studio.
Spirit entered the TD Comfort Zone contest by posting a video or photo of you tagging @BlueJays and including hashtag TD Tuesday on Twitter or Instagram for a chance to win. For full contest rules, visit BlueJays.com/ComfortZone. Buck, those are very comfy seats out there behind center field at Rogers Center. Always nice to win a chance to sit there.
Great vantage point for sure, Barry Davis, and it's a good opportunity. So make sure you check it out. 5th inning. Blue Jays have a 3-1 lead. Top of the order, Michael Saunders. Trying to get something going here in the 5th. Saunders doubled and scored in that 3rd inning. Saunders scored the 2nd Blue Jay run. 2 runs in the 3rd inning, both driven home by Troy Tulowitzki.
He's had some professional at bats, if you will, since they moved him into the leadoff spot. He'll take his share of pitches and work the counts. I just want a guy getting on in front of the big boys any way you can. Don't have to be fast. You don't have to steal bases. Just get on base.
That's a foul ball. The game has changed so much, and when you look around baseball, there's so many great hitters hitting in the 2 spot. Years ago, that spot was designed to have a guy that can handle the bat, hit the ball the right side, move the runner up, play hit and run, maybe bunt once in a while, but it's totally different now. This ball is driven to left. Joey Rickard is there, makes the catch. 1 out. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Drew Smiley, 2nd straight left-hander that the Red Sox have faced. Jay Happ started yesterday and pitched very well against Boston.
Austin lost Joe Kelly, I think, tonight with a right shoulder problem. They're calling it a right shoulder impingement for Joe Kelly.
That's never a good thing. That impingement certainly talks about how difficult that shoulder is to keep healthy. 2-0 to Josh Donaldson. Josh has popped up twice. Now it's 3-0. A 4-pitch walk to Donaldson. 3rd walk issued by Mike Wright. Once again, they'll face Jose Bautista. Jose singled his last time up. Line drive base hit into right field. Goes after the first pitch. Pops it back over the screen, out of play.
Told you about all the great production that Jose has had against the Orioles in his career, but in this ballpark, he's just a 202 hitter. Go figure.
His single in the 3rd inning extended his hit streak to 8 straight games against the Orioles. It's a little flare into right field. Trumbo is there. 2 down. Wright has thrown 85 pitches, and he has kept things in check.
Well, you got your 100 pitches. Let's see how far it takes you. Last time it only took him through 5 innings in his start against the Red Sox.
Deep drive down the left side, but that's going to hook into the seats.
I think everyone was waiting for that fastball. What do you think?
He takes some good swings here in this ballpark.
2 outs, and Edwin just a little bit too quick. He knows he hooked that one.
We talk about the 2 sluggers, Chris Davis and Edwin Encarnacion, and they have both put up big home run numbers against their respective teams. Chris Davis has hit 28 home runs against the Blue Jays. That's the most home runs versus any opponent since 2012. And Edwin has hit 21 home runs against the Orioles.
Wow, and there's a hanger. And when both of those guys get hot, you can't get them out.
No, it doesn't make any difference how you pitch them.
Can't pitch to them. One of the best days in baseball I saw was last year when Edwin had the 3 home run game and the hats came flying out at Rogers Center. I mean, that was a special, special day.
Donaldson got the attention of Mike Wright. Edwin wasn't really sure why they were throwing the hats on the field, but he quickly found out. This is a fly ball to right. Trumbo moving to his left. Gets under it, and that ends the inning. Mike Wright has pitched through 5. Orioles trail by 2.
Blue Jays Flyaway Contest is now on. Enter for your chance to cheer on the Blue Jays in Boston with WestJet. Go to bluejays.com/WestJet Flyaway to enter. And Buck, last week at the Blue Jays Gala, WestJet did give away a trip to see the Blue Jays in Boston, and you'll never guess who had the winning ticket.
Who was that, Barry?
Me.
You did?
I did.
We didn't see you in Boston.
No, and it's coming up in June. I actually raffled off the prize on my Facebook page, and Jays Carrier is getting a very nice donation.
Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations. Good job, Barry. Pedro Alvarez will lead things off for the Orioles here in the 5th.
Got a quick glimpse right there of the distribution, if you will, of Marcus Stroman's night. 6 ground balls, 3 fly balls, and 3 strikeouts. That's a typical Marcus Stroman type of night. Lots of ground balls. Here's another one.
Little squiver out in front of home plate. Marcus makes the throw.
Now his ground ball percentage is outstanding. 65% of the balls in play become ground balls. There it is right there, his ground ball percentage. His ground ball to fly ball percentage is 4-1. That is excellent, but it's number 2 in all of baseball. Do you have any idea who number 1 is? Noah Syndergaard. 6-1 ground ball to fly ball from Noah Syndergaard. You think of him as a strikeout guy, right? Yeah. You don't think of him as a ground ball type of guy.
Tough to get him airborne. Hot shot, nice play by Donaldson. Turns around and fires a strike to retire Jonathan Scope. Put a star on that one.
Marcus Stroman threw 29 pitches last inning. and gave up the 1 run. He needs a quick inning, and the Orioles are helping out, and so is Josh Donaldson. He got Alvarez, and now it takes a hit away from Scope. He needs a quick inning.
Well, when there are so many ground balls hit during a Stroman start, every infielder anticipates the ball being hit to him.
And he's working quickly, and he's throwing strikes. He's keeping everybody on their toes. That was a nice play by Josh.
Back to the top of the order. This is popped up. Smoke over near the wall, near the seats. We'll see it sail out of play. Joey Rickard played 4 years in the Tampa Bay Rays minor league system. He was taken in a Rule 5 draft by the Orioles. And he really did a good job because he went to winter ball. He comes into spring training. He's in mid-season form. He played 50 games in winter ball. Bautista is back. He is there. Stroman bounces back very quickly. Just 7 pitches after 29 in the 4th. Troy Tulowitzki will lead things off. He's got a 2-run double. Justin Smoke's been on base twice. Russell Martin coming up.
Fans, follow the Blue Jays live on your phone and tablet with the MLB.com at-bat app. Customize at-bat to feature the Blue Jays and stay up to the moment at any moment with scores, news, live game video highlights, and much more. Download MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball.
If you had that app right now, you'd be checking out the rest of the games around baseball. Scoreless in Boston, Tampa Bay. And the Red Sox, Oakland, and the Yankees knotted up at 1. Bottom of the 5th in New York. Troy Tulowitzki with a 2-run double his last time up. Popped up over near the Orioles dugout. Wieters has got room, but it's just over the fence into the dugout. He slid to break his momentum.
Haven't seen too many breaking balls, have we, the last couple of innings?
Fastball, changeup
yeah, from Mike Wright. And I think that's keeping him in this game. Look, Showalter's not taking any chances. He's already got a reliever up to start this inning. But Mike Wright has changed things a little bit here. That is Wilson, the big right-hander.
Tyler Wilson, they have been singing his praises around Baltimore. They've always had a good bullpen. Tulowitzki takes one just off the plate. Tulowitzki hits it to J.J. Hardy. He's retired. 6-3 on the ground out. Mike Wright settled down very effectively. 3 runs on 6 hits. 5 1/3.
He was helped out by that great throw by Trumbo to end the 3rd inning. Second inning he gave up a run on a hit, and in that 3rd inning he had 2 runs on 4 hits, but Trumbo ended the inning with this guy hitting. It was Smoke single to right field that bailed him out.
First assist of the season for Mark Trumbo. Smoke's had a good game. He's walked in, lined a single into right. We mentioned Smoke with 11 strikeouts so far this season. They've been pitching him like he's Babe Ruth. He hasn't had many opportunities. He had 6 walks so far this season. Just 13 official at bats.
He's been putting up some good at bats though. He had a couple of big walks in Boston in that series.
Walked as a pinch hitter.
That was in the 8th inning yesterday and came around to score.
Well, that's where good hitting begins. By seeing the baseball and laying off those borderline pitches, you give yourself a chance to get some good pitches. They're the starters, all 4 minus Stroman, of course. And it's been a pretty tight-knit group. And why not? They're all pitching well. Tom Halyard calls one may have been outside. 2 down.
Home Hardware and Building Center locations. Proud partners of the Toronto Blue Jays. Homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice.
Catcher Russell Martin offers that first pitch. Right, trying to go 6 innings for just the 4th time for the Orioles this season. They've only had 3 starters go 6 or more innings all season long. This is the 12th game they have played. Been a concern for Buck Showalter. He's got a good bullpen, but he hates to use him every single night.
It has helped out that they've had some rainouts. Also, they lost a game on Sunday versus Texas when they were rained out. Then they had an off day yesterday, so everybody's rested out in that bullpen for the Orioles.
Full count now. 2 outs. Martin has walked and struck out. Trying to get through 6 innings. He's thrown over 100 pitches. Pulled on the ground. Machado takes this short hop, fires a strike. Mike Wright through 6 innings, but the Orioles trail 3-1. Marcus Stroman will face Machado when we come back.
Jays on Sportsnet. Presented by the all-new Honda Civic, now available with Turbo, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
We are in Baltimore, Maryland, and Manny Machado will lead things off for the Orioles in the bottom of the 6th. Last time up in the 4th.
Sinker out over the plate. It's down, and Manny Machado goes and gets it. That's his 5th home run, just his 6th run driven in on Solo so far this season. But he got power. No part of the ballpark's going to hold him when he's swinging the way he is right now.
Manny Machado hit 35 home runs a year ago. That was his big breakout season. And he hit a good pitch against Stroman last time up. Machado's only 23 years old.
Only 23.
He's younger than Marcus Stroman.
I don't know where you go to get him out. Hitters have spots that you can go to try and get him out. Manny Machado, where? He's a little bit more patient this year.
He goes after the first pitch, and Goins out on the outfield grass. One pitch, one out here in the 6th. You know, this is what we were talking about as far as Marcus Stroman goes. He had a rough 4th inning. He comes back in the 5th, needs just 7 pitches. He has a remarkable ability to make adjustments in game. He didn't have a lot of success in the 4th, gave up the home run, gave up 3 hits overall, stranded the bases loaded. Then he comes back out in the 5th. 7 pitches, 3 up, 3 down. Now he gets Manny Machado on 1 pitch.
He had to stand out there for 3 or 4 minutes also with the bases loaded and 2 outs and get J.J. Hardy. You don't think that's tough to do? Stand around out there and then have to make pitches? But you're right. He has that ability to see the finish line.
Well, he did it against the Yankees in his last start. He retired the last 11. And if you remember back in his first start at Tampa Bay, he had a great finish to that game. He's
got into the 9th,
5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. He mowed him down 12 straight, and then gave up a leadoff home run to Corey Dickerson in the 9th. Ground ball. Tulowitzki plays it on the side. Jones is retired.
There's something extra on that pitch to Adam Jones. The ball was just diving in on his thumbs.
And you can see Marcus Stroman trying to gain control of his breathing once again, recenter his body, getting ready for this next batter.
He practices that. He practices breathing to try and calm him down. It's just a little reminder. There's this little twist right there to get back into the movements.
Chris Davis over 2 so far. Good changeup, 84 miles an hour.
And pitch number 84. Take the sting out of their bat.
Slide step changeup, which is doubly effective because you see that quick pitch, you anticipate a fastball, and it crosses you. Fly ball deep to left field, but Michael Saunders is there. Another quick inning for Marcus Stroman, just 9 pitches to retire the side in order in the 6th.
fans, J-Shop is Canada's largest and only official team shop of your Toronto Blue Jays. New 2016 authentic jersey with 40th season sleeve patch now available. Get yours at jshop.ca. Not a lot of fans here tonight, Buck, but a lot of Blue Jays jerseys.
A lot of Blue Jays jerseys, no matter where the Jays play on the road, and they are out, and a new pitcher in for Mike Wright is Tyler Wilson, making his 3rd appearance of the season.
He has not been scored on in those 6 innings so far coming out of the bullpen, and that is not the only changes for the Orioles. Maybe some bad news for the Orioles now.
Yeah, Adam Jones is out of the game, and he has had some problem with rib cage injury. Nolan Reimel comes off the bench and takes over in left field. With that, Joey Rickard, the starting left fielder, moves in to take over for Adam Jones, who is out of the game. Jones injured his rib cage in the 2nd game of the season and missed a week, and then he came back slowly, but that doesn't look good for the Orioles. Ryan Goins has hit the ball sharply twice, both of those at bats against Mike Wright. Picked up an RBI with a ground out in the 2nd, had a lined hop single into center. This is a 3-hopper to Scope. I'm going to go back and take a look at the last at bat of Adam Jones. He grounded out to shortstop.
Ball gets right in on him. You can see he's struggling just a little bit after rewinding after that swing. And he's feeling it.
Yeah, he sure is. You could see he reacted to that swing. He had to make an adjustment inside. That's not good news for Buck Showalter. Kevin Pillar fouls it into the upper deck. Blue Jays have a 3-1 lead as they bat in the top of the 7th. Tyler Wilson, 26 years old. He got into 9 games last year, made 5 starts for the Orioles, had a 2-2 record with a .350 earned run average.
Pillar not happy with that one. You'll get some cutters and curveballs. He's basically a starter. He can pitch multiple innings out of that bullpen and has pitched well so far in 6 games this year.
He has been a starter throughout his career. He's going into the bullpen now, and some people around Baltimore think that he's going to end up in the rotation very quickly. We've got another man down there too in Dylan Bundy. He's also a former starter. Pillar lifts it into left field. Rickard is over in the alley. The center fielder makes the catch. 2 down. Well, the Orioles bullpen has gotten off to another great start. Only the White Sox have a better bullpen earned run average. The Orioles have 4 saves so far. Their opponent's batting average is .221, and they're averaging 9.9 strikeouts per 9 innings.
7 relievers they're carrying down in that bullpen. A couple of lefties and 5 righties. They've got different looks, if you will, coming out of that bullpen. Hard throwers, side armors, soft tossers. I mean, a little bit of everything.
The closer, Zach Britton, is left-handed, and he throws a nasty sinker in the mid-90s. Base hit for Michael Saunders to left field. Reimel over quickly. Cut it off and get it back in. Second hit of the night for Michael Saunders.
Been thought when that ball left his bat that he had a shot at maybe stretching that ball into a double. Hits it off the end of the bat. He's not real sure where the ball is, and I think that's all he needed. And just holds at first base.
Isn't that interesting how often that will happen, where a hitter will focus so much on hitting the ball when he does make contact, he's not sure which way it went.
he wasn't sure. He was looking up in the air, and it's down the left field line.
Josh Donaldson 0 for 2 with a walk. Now look at this shift on Donaldson. This is the most dramatic we have seen a shift tonight. 3 defenders on the left side of the infield.
Does that say they're going to pitch him inside? Does that say with 2 outs that he's going to try and hit a double? So they're going to go ahead and take away balls to the left side.
There are so many strategies involved in it. Gets back to who's pitching, what the score is, who's the hitter, can he handle the bat?
See, I wouldn't want him to try and hit a ball to right field right here. I would almost dare him to try and pull the ball, because you're looking for an extra base hit. And there's extra base hits down both lines and in both gaps. So where they play on the infield for me doesn't do anything here in this situation. I'm going to try and score that run from first base with 2 outs.
Well, maybe that's part of the strategy, thinking that maybe you'll get Donaldson to take a shot at a base hit. If you do that, you take him out of his game. Just up 3-1 now. I think if it were the opposite and the Blue Jays were trailing, you probably wouldn't play in the shift and leave that big hole open for Donaldson to get a base hit and then bring Bautista to the plate.
Because you'd be trying to get base runners. You're absolutely right.
2 outs, 3-1 count. He walks him. Donaldson walks for a second straight plate appearance. That'll bring Jose Bautista to the plate. And that'll get the fans' attention. Jose is 1 for 3 with a run scored this evening. Two outs. Saunders at second, Donaldson at first. Breaking ball for strike 1. Ball on the strike. This is the 6th season for Tyler Wilson in the Orioles organization. He was drafted out University of Virginia.
Good take. They've been in Jose's head a little bit, I think, tonight. He's had a check swing ground out, single to right field, and a fly ball to right field. So he should just worry about this ball right here, and he should try and split one of those gaps in the outfield.
Checked his swing. Marcus Stroman has allowed a run on 4 hits through 6 innings. He's really economized on his pitches the last couple of innings. Drive to the alley in left field. That's going to get down and go up against the wall. Saunders is in to score. They're going to stop Donaldson at third as Bautista drives home another run with a ringing double to the wall.
There's how you split the gap right there. He got himself into a good hitter's count by laying off all that breaking ball stuff that was off the plate, and then got a pitch that was up and did what good hitters do in these situations. Two-seam fastball up, and he clocks it to left field. This ball was hit so hard, Josh Donaldson could not get around the bases in time. It rattles up against the wall. They get the ball back in very quickly, and they have to hold Donaldson until Bautista does his job.
11th RBI of the season for Jose. It comes on his 5th double of the year. Second and third for Encarnacion. Takes one inside.
How about where these rallies begin? 2 outs, nobody on.
I believe that's Ramon Martinez, Pedro Martinez's older brother, who's been with this organization for the last couple of years. He's not the pitching coach. That's Dave Wallace. But Wallace is evidently not here tonight. 2-0, 2 outs. A run in here in the 7th. Blue Jays have expanded their lead. It's now 4-1.
A couple more runners out there. Ducks on the pond for Edwin.
Edwin loves hitting in this ballpark. When you look at the all-time slugging percentage at Oriole Park at Camden Yards, he is 3rd on the all-time list coming into this game.
And that's why I don't even think they're going to throw to him. You got first base open. You got Tulowitzki. Troy came into this game hitting 140.
3-0. There's his strike. I agree with you. I wouldn't even try to get cute and get him out.
Yeah, look where all those pitches are. That was ball 4, really. And he got a gift.
Yeah, they don't want anything to do with Edwin.
Then put your hand out, right? Put your hand out and put him over there at first base. We saw this happen in Boston where they thought they could get him out. And he came up with a big base hit off of Noe Ramirez.
It's a little flare down the right field line. If it drops, it's 2, but it's just foul. Yeah, they're flirting with danger, getting that close. He almost cost them 2 runs. Noe Ramirez was sent back to the minor leagues after that series. Now Matt Wieters out to talk to Tyler Wilson, maybe suggesting not so close.
25th pitch of the inning for Tyler Wilson.
He started out getting Ryan Goins and Kevin Pillar, then ran into trouble top of the order. 3-2 pitch, 2 outs. He strikes him out. So Blue Jays add a run. RBI double for Jose Bautista will go to the bottom of the 7th. The Jays have a 4-1 lead. Presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. Marcus Stroman set to start the 7th inning. Stroman has gone into the 9th once, pitched 8 innings twice, and threw 5 1/3.
That was that start against Boston back on April the 8th, and now here he is into the 7th inning. Pitch count is in relative pretty good hands after those last 2 innings.
He threw 7 pitches in the 5th, 9 pitches in the 6th. He has retired the last 7 Oriole batters. Trumbo swings and misses. We have been informed that Orioles center fielder Adam Jones left the game because of a stomach virus. And I guess that's good news that it wasn't related to that earlier injury. Tulowitzki with the backhand jump toss, and what a dig, but can't come up with it. Troy Tulowitzki, I don't know how he does it, but he throws everything on the money. That was just a short hop, and Justin Smoke couldn't dig it out of the dirt.
Shortstops have to be able to throw on the run, and you have to have a variety of ways of delivering the ball over to first base. Tulowitzki, the jump throw, and it looks like it's plenty of time. Smoke goes down there, does everything possible to try and dig that one out. He would have been out at first.
I have never seen a shortstop make so many different throws from different angles, and everything is right on line.
You would think one of them would tail.
They don't tail. Most of the time when an infielder is moving and he throws on the run, there's a big tail in it. But Tulowitzki has the ability to throw true. Leadoff single for Trumbo. Matt Waiters is 1 for 2.
Well, one thing a pitcher doesn't have to worry about when he's facing the Baltimore Orioles: stolen bases. They just don't run. They sit back and they slug. They've only had 3 stolen base attempts all season long.
There's a drive deep to right, up and over the wall. Matt Wieters, his first home run of the season, is a 2-run home run here in the 7th. John Gibbons has come out from the Blue Jays dugout to talk to the crew chief, Tom Hallion. This is a difficult fence for the umpires because there's a wrought iron fence above the scoreboard. And you can see the grid there above the scoreboard. And this ball is into the crowd. Looked like it hit off the top of that fence.
Well, right away, Tony Randazzo, I think that was the first base umpire, went out there and signaled home run by Matt Wieters. Looked like a high changeup from Marcus, something that was up, and Wieters clubbed it to right field. We have seen our share of discussions, if you will, in this ballpark in right field for home runs.
See Bautista playing it as he should off the wall of Karen, and the ruling on the field stands. So the Orioles have hit 2 more home runs. They now have 25 home runs on the season. For Matt Wieters, his first home run of the season. Wieters has hits in his last 7 games. Gavin Floyd starting to crank it up.
We've said it before. That's what the Orioles do. They sit back and they club you.
Ball on the strike to the Orioles shortstop, J.J. Hardy. Fly ball. Bautista backing up in right, makes the catch. Well, the Orioles are a power-laden team. They have been for a while. If you look at where they rank going back to 2012, 214, they were second and first, and third last year. Had a bit of a drop-off, but they're on a record-setting pace this season.
I think it's a safe bet they're going to make it 5 years in a row that they're going to hit 200 home runs. They were third last year behind the Blue Jays and the Houston Astros.
Coming into this game, they were on pace to hit 339 home runs. I don't think they'll do that.
Everybody knew that that's the type of team that they were going to be this year, especially after they went out and got this guy, Pedro Alvarez, and Mark Trumbo.
It's a high fly ball into left. Saunders coming in. Alvarez retired, 2 down.
The all-new Honda Civic, now available with Turbo, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
That's Utah straight beyond the fence in right field here at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. The B&O Railway Warehouse. Jonathan Scope. You can't sleep on Jonathan Scope.
He's got 3 home runs already this year.
Deep drive to left. That ball is just fouled.
Plenty of distance down the left field line. It looked like another changeup from Marcus Stroman. And that changeup got him a little bit off and a little bit too quick.
Ground ball backhanded by Donaldson. Long throw in time. Stroman, through 7 innings, has the lead 4-3. But he's given up a pair of home runs. This one a 2-run shot to Matt Wieters, his first of the season. Game is brought to you by the all-new Honda Civic, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
3rd inning, couple runners on board for Troy Tulowitzki. He takes this Mike Wright pitch down the left field line, and then Joey Rickard tries to dive for it. It goes all the way to the wall. 2 runs are going to score. Tulowitzki's going to end up at second base with tonight's drive of the game.
Troy Tulowitzki will lead things off for the Jays in the 8th. Tulowitzki with those 2 RBIs. Came in the 3rd inning. Tyler Wilson in his 2nd inning of work. He gave up a run on a pair of hits and a walk in the 7th.
And they had him on the ropes too. A couple of runners in scoring position for Encarnacion.
Wilson was behind 3-0 to Encarnacion. Came all the way back to strike him out to strand a pair.
That's the thing when you're playing these teams in the American League East. You got a chance to knock in some runs. You have to take advantage of it. Those add-on runs. You just never know.
Lefty Brett Cecil starting to loosen up for the Blue Jays. He is in his native state of Maryland. Lewitzki pulls it on the ground to short. 1 down. Prior to tonight's game, PlayStation provided us with a prediction of who they thought the Blue Jays player of the game would be. And they picked Justin Smoak.
Justin Smoak, 3 for 3 with a home run, 4 RBIs, 2 runs. He's only had 2 official at bats. He walked, singled, and struck out. That's always fun to do. 3 for 3. Home run and 4 RBIs. Not yet, but he still has a ways to go.
Simulation is powered by MLB The Show 16. Welcome to the show, only on PlayStation. Ball on the strike. We're in the 8th inning. Each team scored in the 7th. Blue Jays got a run. The Weeders 2-run home run scored for the Orioles. Three and one now to Smoak.
I'd like to take one of those predictor hits right here. He said he was going to hit a home run. Blue Jays could use one right here.
Another walk for Justin Smoak. He's walked twice more tonight. He has 7 walks. Marcus Stroman back out on the bench. He has gone 7 innings. He's gone 8 twice, 7 once, and pitched 5 1/3 in his other start. Russell Martin. Russell has walked, struck out, and grounded out. Michael Gibbons loosening up for Baltimore.
There was a lot of pitches thrown last inning by Tyler Wilson. Blue Jays, he got 2 quick outs and then 3 base runners, and then he ended it by striking out Encarnacion. And his fastball doesn't look like it has the same type of zip on it.
All right, Dickey and Jay Happ. Dickey will pitch tomorrow against Ubaldo Jimenez. Marco Estrada and Chris Tillman in the series finale on Thursday night. Three and one to Russell Martin. Looks like Wilson ran out of gas.
Yeah, I mean, that fastball just registered 89 miles an hour. There was a little cutting action on it. last inning, he was like 93. You're right, just out of gas. That's why they've got Gibbons up.
There's a strike. Now it's a full count. Ryan Goins will follow if the Blue Jays keep the inning alive, stay out of the double play. Also spoiled that breaking ball. That's what you call protecting the plate.
Well, he took the 3-1 fastball, I think, just to make him throw another pitch, and then he crossed him up and threw him that breaking ball and fooled Russell, but he stayed alive.
Line to Machado. Manny Machado is a terrific athlete. He was a shortstop in the minors. They moved him to third base, played about 20 games at third, came to the big leagues, and he's been camped there ever since.
He's got great hands. His hand-eye coordination is outstanding. This time he's going to time the jump perfectly. It looked like it was going to be extra bases as that ball was hooking down the line, but he reaches up and takes it away. Tough to get the ball by that guy.
Machado has homered tonight. Now he makes a fine defensive play. Ryan Goins has had a good night at the plate. Picked up an RBI on a sharply hit ground out in the second. Singled into center in the fourth. And grounded out in the center. This is the first batter Tyler Wilson faced entering the game. Little bouncing ball. J.J. Hardy backhands. Throws across the diamond. It's a high throw, but they say he tagged him out. Goins called out at first base. John Gibbons is out of the dugout. And they're going to hold the Orioles on the field.
You know, the argument might be when he was tagged, Goins' foot was on the base. One more time. Davis goes up. He's going back to tag him. Yeah. It looked like it was coming down at the same time. The foot touching the bag.
Looked like he tagged him before he came down, and the Blue Jays are in agreement with that as they're making their way off the field. Blue Jays have a 4-3 lead as we head to the bottom of the eighth. Now time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn in the Samsung broadcast studio.
Anywhere. Download the Sportsnet app and stay up to speed with the live pitch tracker, in-depth stats, and exclusive video highlights. Plus, live stream on the go. Download for free today. Buck.
Thank you, Barry Davis. We move to the bottom of the eighth inning. Blue Jays fans anxious here at Oriole Park, Camden Yard. It's a one-run game. John Gibbons has gone to the bullpen. He's brought in the Maryland native, Brett Cecil, making his 8th appearance.
Starting to get it together. He was perfect in yesterday's ball game. He picked up the hold when he pitched the 8th inning, had a 1-2-3 inning, a strikeout, a ground out, and a fly ball. That was that great catch by Kevin Pillar. Now he gets to deal with the top of the lineup, Rickard, Machado, and Reimold, who came in for Adam Jones.
Joey Rickard singled with 2 strikes to right field in his first at bat. He's 1 for 3 overall. Shows bunt, pulls the bat back. Well, Brett Cecil, this is his 22nd relief appearance against the Orioles. Overall, his 28th game, as he was initially a starter. There's that curveball, and that's the difference in Cecil lately. He's been able to throw that curveball for a strike.
It's been tighter. It's gotten more depth to it. John Gibbons was talking about Brett Cecil before tonight's game. He said he's not falling off the mound as much as he was earlier this season. Everything has been going straight to home, and that's really helped him.
Kevin Pillar backs up in center field. He's got plenty of room. 1 down. So Marcus Stroman, another good start. I know he wasn't pleased with the 2-run home run to Matt Wieters, but he goes 7 innings. He's charged with 3 earned runs on 6 hits. Walked 1, struck out 3, threw 101 pitches. And for the 3rd time in 4 starts, he's pitched 7 or more innings. That's exactly what you want from your starter.
Yeah, get through that lineup 3 times. Get your outs. You know he wanted to stay out there and pitch 1 more inning. You could just tell it in his face when he was walking off the mound.
First pitch strike with the curveball. Manny Machado, 1 for 3 with a home run. Gavin Floyd was up earlier. He is throwing alongside of him is Roberto Osuna, who had a cracked nail on his pitching hand on Sunday. Cracked fingernail, and he was unavailable yesterday, so hopefully he has recovered enough to pitch, and obviously that's the case. He's loosening up now.
He hurt that the other night when he threw a slider to Travis Shaw. Felt the little burn in the blister, and then it was right off of his nail, but they weren't real sure if he was available. They were going to get him up. They were going to let him throw to see if he can pitch.
That's why Floyd continues to throw right next to him, and he will get up to game speed, and then if he feels okay, he'll give him the go-ahead. Full count. Manny Machado takes a couple of curveballs for strikes. 3-2-1 out. Nolan Reimold was on deck. He came into the ball game as a defensive replacement for Adam Jones. Fouled into the dirt.
Do you risk throwing him a fastball here, 3-2? No. I mean, he's got such a curveball. You can tell him it's coming. That curveball's coming, and guys have trouble hitting it.
Hits it into right. That's a fair ball. Bautista will play it off the wall. Machado is headed for second. He'll get there with a stand-up double. A tying runs in scoring position. Just the second hit Machado has recorded against Brett Cecil.
Such a good hitter. He got the double, or excuse me, the curveball, and hit a double. There's the curveball spinning. They wanted this one to bite underneath the bat, but it stayed up, and Machado goes the other way. Extra bases.
Machado hit his 5th home run in the 4th inning. That's his 5th double. It comes in the 8th. Nolan Reimold hitting his first plate appearance of the game, and the game in the 7th. Raimo for the season batting .389. He is 7 for 18.
And be careful, he loves the fastball.
He's got 3 doubles and 2 home runs.
He's thinking fastball when he leaves the on-deck circle.
Raimo spent some time with the Blue Jays in 2014. He was with the Jays for 22 games. The Blue Jays claimed Raimo off waivers from the Orioles, and then they lost him on a waiver claim to Arizona. 2 balls, no strikes. Three and 0. The dangerous Chris Davis is on deck. We're in the bottom of the 8th. Raimo takes ball 4. Interesting matchup now with Chris Davis. Pete Walker checking on the status of his bullpen.
And the strategy, I think, here is Cecil versus Davis. And Chris is 2 for 17 in his career versus Brett Cecil. Then John Givens has the option to maybe go into Gavin Floyd to get Trumbo, the right-hander with a big breaking ball against a right-handed power hitter. First things first.
Popped up on the first pitch out in front of home plate. Russell Martin now back behind home. Makes the catch. Chris Davis now 2 for 18 against Brett Cecil.
Well, he didn't give him a lot of time to think about it, but I think Gibby's played this one in his mind. And he has gone to the right-hander, but he hasn't signaled which one. There's 2 of them throwing. And they're asking Gibby, which one do you want?
Yeah, and Dane Johnson just went over to the dugout phone out there. So Cecil gets his man once again. He dominates Chris Davis. It's going to be Roberto Osuna coming into the ball game to face Mark Trumbo. Brett Cecil has certainly had the upper hand going head-to-head with Chris Davis, and he got Davis to pop up on the first pitch of the at-bat for the second out of the inning. And it looked like Cecil was pitching around Nolan Rimo, knowing he had Davis coming up next, and now he'll look to Roberto Osuna to close out the 8th.
And that gave John Gibbons the option. You can go with Gavin Floyd or bring in your closer right here, and he likes this matchup just a little bit more. Osuna in 6 games has 4 saves.
Osuna threw 20 pitches on Sunday. He gave up a home run to Travis Shaw in the bottom of the 9th, but the Blue Jays won that 5-3. It was not a save opportunity because the Jays had scored their 5th run. It was 4-1 to start the inning, and Osuna was loose and ready for a save opportunity. Mark Trumbo high fly ball. Bautista coming in from right. Kevin Pillar calls for it and makes the catch. He had a long run but stayed with it. Osuna closes out the 8th. The Blue Jays will go to the 9th with the lead, 4-3.
Blue Jay games this year, you may want to look into a Blue Jays ticket package. You pick the games and reserve seats that get you closer to the action. Starting from 10 games up to a full season, our account executives will find the package that best suits your needs. Go to BlueJays.com to learn more about all the great benefits of being a Blue Jays ticket package holder. Buck?
Thank you very much, Barry Davis. We have made it to the 9th inning, and the Blue Jays have a 1-run lead. New pitcher into the game for the Orioles is Michael Gibbons.
He's got a good arm. He's a converted shortstop. He was a shortstop, and then he converted to a pitcher back in 2013. He's got good life on his fastball. Buck Showalter wanted him to drop that arm angle just a little bit. He can be very tough on right-handers.
Kevin Pillar goes after the first pitch and pops it up. Jonathan Scope makes the catch. Gibbons pitched well against the Blue Jays last year. He's pitched 3 outings against them and really was impressive. Not such a good start for him this year. He's now thrown a total of 6 innings with that out and has given up 9 hits and 4 runs. Back to the top of the order. Michael Saunders has had a good night. 2 for 4. He's scored 2 runs. Saunders doubled to right in the 3rd and then hit a line single to left. Looked like it may have been extra bases, but Orioles got it back in quickly to hold him to a single. He scored from second on Jose Bautista's RBI double in the 7th.
A little bit different pitcher now. He got a little bit better fastball, so he's going to have to start it a little earlier. That's his changeup.
So Saunders takes a walk. 6 walks issued by the Orioles tonight. The Orioles have not lost a home game this season. Ezequiel Carrera coming on to pinch run for Saunders at first base. So Carrera comes off the bench.
Just a little bit more speed for the Blue Jays on the bases. Want to make sure that they try and get one of those add-on runs. A little bit more speed in the outfield. And Carrera will take over.
Josh Donaldson has walked each of his last 2 plate appearances. He's 0 for 2 for the night.
Not really a base stealing threat in his career. You got to let these guys hit in front of him.
High fly ball to left. Nolan Rymel continues to move, gets underneath it, and Donaldson's retired. He's 0 for 3. Jose Bautista 2-hit night. Bautista's batting average at .306.
Starts him off with a slider.
Ball on a strike. This is the 6th multi-hit game already for Bautista this season.
That was under the radar just a little bit, wasn't it?
He's had 6 2-hit games.
Fans have been on him pretty hard, Jose, here. They like that Givens goes inside like that. They give him a little bit of a cheer, but that's what gets Bautista fired up.
Jose in the Boston series went 4 for 15. So he's now collected 6 hits on this road trip. There goes Carrera. Wheeler's throw is low into the dirt. Carrera bounces up and he goes to third. Matt Wheeler's didn't have much on that throw. The Orioles were raving about a throw he made Saturday in Texas, but he didn't get much on that throw.
You got to figure when you see a throw like that, especially from a Gold Glover, that he just didn't have the grip on it that he needed to. That one was spiked in the ground. Scope can't even block it. And Wheeler's will be called for an error.
Second error of the season for the catcher. 2 outs now. Bautista bats with Carrera at third. Three and 1 count. 3 and 2 count. They missed a strike so far. 2 outs. Bautista with a mighty cut.
Wow. He was setting him up for that pitch right there, and he got it and missed it.
Edwin Encarnacion 1 for 4 will bat if Bautista can reach. What is that? There's no time called.
Nobody called time. I didn't see.
He stopped his pitch, and there's a runner at third. What's up with that? Now Wheeler's going to go out and talk to Givens. That looked like he balked twice.
He balked.
He balked twice, and
he held the ball, and then Bautista gave up. Now watch the umpire. He doesn't give him time. You see Jose called timeout. Nothing. Nobody said anything, and then the pitcher started and stopped.
And that's not a balk. That's a balk.
That should be.
Bautista's really digging in now. He wants that RBI down there at third. There's a liner to left. Reimel right there in his tracks. Makes the catch. Blue Jays leave a base runner in the top of the ninth. We'll go to the bottom of the ninth. 4-3 Blue Jays lead. Roberto Osuna back out for the save to close it out. From his last at bat in the seventh.
Ezequiel Carrera has taken over for Michael Saunders after he pinch ran for him in the top of the inning. He takes over in left field.
Roberto Osuna trying to get a 4-out save. He had 5 such saves last season, including Game 5 of the ALDS against Texas. Wieters fouls back the straight pitch.
The last time up was the last time somebody touched home plate. Matt Wieters takes this pitch. It looked like a high changeup from Marcus Stroman and hits it off the railing out there. Called a home run. Blue Jays had just scored a run in the top of the 7th inning. Wieters got that one back and one more to make it 4-3. And that's where we stand.
Osuna jumps out ahead 0-2. Oh, good off-speed pitch. One down. Now for a preview of what's coming up on Sportsnet Central. Here's Ken Reed and Ivanka Osman. Thank you very much, Ivanka. That's all coming up right after this ball game. J.J. Hardy, the shortstop, 0 for 3. Ball on the strike. Orioles have not lost a game at home this season. Marcus Stroman in line for his 3rd win of the season. It would be his 8th win in his last 9 starts. 8-0.
And his last loss was right here.
September 15th, 2014. Now it's 3-1.
All of those pitches close for Osuna. And he just can't get the call.
Pedro Alvarez is on deck. Popped up. Goins now coming back onto the dirt. Makes the catch. 2 down.
Okay, this is what makes the Orioles so tough right here. You're in the 8th slot in the batting order. It's a 1-run game, and you got a guy who can reach the seats with 1 swing.
A home run champ.
Yeah.
He led the National League in home runs in 2013 with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Hit 36. 2 outs. Pedro Alvarez. Breaking ball in the dirt. Alvarez was an all-star in 2013 and was a Silver Slugger Award winner as the Silver Slugger at 3rd base for the Pirates. Osuna wants another ball. Osuna came into the ball game in the 8th inning with 2 outs and got Mark Trumbull to pop out to the center fielder.
He likes that ball in where he can try and pull it. You can see Russell's staying away from him.
Russell knows Alvarez. They were teammates in Pittsburgh. Marcus Stroman anxious as he waits on the bench. It's a 1-run game. Goins out in right field. That's the ball game. Roberto Osuna picks up his 5th save. Marcus Stroman is the winner. He improves to 3-0. And the Blue Jays have won 3 straight.
Yeah, everybody's been talking about the hitting, but it's the pitching. Blue Jays starting pitching has been sensational. Marcus Stroman back at it. 7 innings tonight, just 3 earned runs. The offense hit just enough, and the Blue Jays win their 2nd consecutive 1-run game.
Osuna healthy enough to pick up his 5th save. Marcus Stroman, another terrific start. He wins his 3rd of the season. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow night. Stay tuned. Here's Sportsnet Central. Ken Reed and Ivanka Osmak.